Welcome back to another episode on the channel. Today's little video, we're going to be putting a new front end basically on this GQ. Well, when I say front end, you know, Bullbar and a few other goodies as well. I'm going to go grab some tools and we're going to rip it all apart and throw some new shit on. And I'll run you through, just quickly actually, what we've got here. So we've got new Bullbar, which I'm not going to tell you yet what it is. Stay tuned. Got some parts from Patrol Part. Got some new clear indicators here and a new a new grill badge for the front end because it's really been bugging me that it doesn't have one. So we're going to go ahead and we'll put them on today as well. And then over here we've got an old King's winch which we're going to do up, and it will be put in the bar as well before it goes on. You can see we've got a bit here to do. Let's rip into it because I've got to get this thing done before the end of the weekend, because next weekend we're going to be putting it to the test on some big high country tracks. So guys, one other thing I did forgot to mention, and that's a good seat, is we've got our new steady carbon headlights, and they were meant to be put in today, but they came earlier in the mail and I couldn't help myself. I've already gone ahead and installed them. They weren't hard to do, but I haven't hooked up the DRL yet. That'll be something else we'll try and get done in this build process today. But yeah, so much better than the old candle globes, I tell you what. But I think once this is all done, it's going to look sick. First step is going to be ripping off our spotties and UHF. Mind the wind, it's just blowing everything away at the moment. Pull all that off and then we'll rip this bar off. And the beauty about these is GQ bars are really easy to get off. 6 bolts. But it could be 6 of the hardest bolts of my life or 6 of the easiest bolts of my life. Only time will tell. Time for a few ugga-duggers.
Alright, Dad, where are we?
Where are we? I think they call it Rasla.
Indeed. We are down here today in Melbourne.
Yep.
Lilydale. Picking up a new package for the GQ.
Yes.
Here it is.
Yeah. Open the box so everybody can see what we're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, I've got to get up on the trailer. There we go. Look at that. Take that off there. So, this is the new bar for the GQ, meaning I can now mount a winch in my car.
Get it winched up for this thing to come and trip.
Yep. That way I can recover the paddy if need be.
That's right. Probably need it too.
Yeah, probably.
So if you couldn't guess already, I have gone with a Rasla Bullbar. Now the first step to installing these Rasla Bullbars is to mount the new Parkers and indicator LEDs, and these just mount by pop riveting in onto the flat surface of the Bullbar. So I just used one of Dad's hand tools and we put all 4 in. So the next step for me is to install my new clear indicators. I wanted to do this whilst the bar was off, as it was a lot easier to work with and a lot more space. Plus I had to tap into the wiring here so that I could pick up new positive and negative for my Parkers and indicators on the Bullbar. I'm going to go ahead, pull out the old indicator housing, unplug it, and then the new one will just plug straight in. Sorry guys, the audio didn't quite work properly here, but after installing the new clear indicators, I went ahead and put on my new little badge, because why not? And I was very happy with how it looked. So on the back there, as you can see, it's just double-sided tape and it's got the 2 slots, which just centralize it so it sits nice and square. And then of course a little buff up and a happy moment, because I was really happy that finally I had a badge. Sometimes it's the little things that make the biggest difference. So the next part was the most exciting part, the test fit of the Bullbar. And of course we had to wait for the cat to move her fat little tush out of the way so we could lift it up and on. Now unfortunately the bull bar had to come back off as we were having a few issues with the winch, and what I mean by that is we're just trying to pull the rope out so we could pull it through the fair lead and obviously bring it out enough so it could hook onto the bull bar, and the clutch wasn't disengaging. We've decided to pull it all apart, pull the winch apart and try and see what's going on. Hopefully it's a simple fix. Lucky for us, it was. It turned out the previous owner of this winch, which came with Paddy, someone's pulled it apart at one stage, maybe water got in or something like that, and they've re-greased it. However, they've used a thick grease and really overcoated everything, and so the grease was causing things to get stuck. For example, the clutch. What was happening was the clutch wouldn't release as there was just too much grease build up in there, and it was just causing everything to bind, sort of thing. Not bind, but yeah, it just didn't function properly. We pulled it all apart, cleaned it the best we could, and then we just re-greased it, and obviously not putting as much in this time, and blow me hold, it worked perfectly. We put it all back together, put it back in the bar, and then we could bolt the bar back up again. Righto guys, we have finally got this thing done. It took a bit, it took a while actually. In fact, it was pretty much late hours right up until the trip before we headed off to the high country, before we actually got things finished. But I've had a bit of time now after the trip to get the other little bits done, like wiring and stuff like that. We're going to run through exactly what we've done and what products we've used. First up, obviously the big elephant in the room is the new bull bar. This is a Razzler Azza bar. And yeah, I've gone for the triple hoops this time for a bit of extra protection. Some of you may remember I used to own a Maverick which only had a single hoop. And to be honest, I did like that look, but this time I just wanted something with that bit of outer extra protection just for the full driving that we're doing. One thing I do like about the Razzler bull bars is the approach angle and how they do these winch cradles. Winch is up nice and high, so it's a lot higher than your standard bull bars, which means it's out of the mud and water a lot more. I mean, obviously if you go into some really deep stuff, it's still going to be in there. This really nice approach angle on the sides, really high clearance, which means when we get into the deep shit and we start going up some gnarly stuff, I've got a good approach angle to get the tyres up and over things. That's one thing I really do like about these Razzler bull bars, and the other bull bar just didn't have that. This is a full low mount winch bar and has obviously spotty mounts, UHF and winch mount. And finally, I own a winch. Even though it's not a new winch, it is a second-hand one from Dad, but we've got the King's winch in here, which you guys would have seen. We did a bit of a repair on it, and I have to say after the trip it did work flawlessly, which is really good. It will do for now, and then later down the track we'll probably look at an upgrade there. We've put the GME UHF back on, we've gone with the short one. This is because we're doing a lot of hill driving at the moment. If we start doing north trips again, we can put a longer one on there. Yeah, just a slimline number plate and all that sort of stuff fitted up nicely. Yeah, obviously indicators and all that, which hooks up to our new indicators on the car, which is probably the next thing. Is we've gone with some clear indicators from Patroller Part. Why? Because I can. No other reason. And I personally think they look great. Just tidies up the front end of the car and brings them into the 21st century. Other thing is I've gone with some steady headlights, ADR compliant of course, because I did have a run-in with the other car. I wanted to make sure I got ADR compliant ones this time. So these are the carbons, and as you can see they've got the running lights in them, DRL, which I've hooked up to ignition. So basically every time I turn the ignition on, they turn on as well. And I think they just look good. And I have to say they are quite bright at night. Look out people driving the other way. The other thing is, and it's only a small thing, but I'm quite proud of myself for it, is I've gone and got a genuine Nissan grill badge. And that's pretty much it for the front end. So there is one thing you would have noticed. I am no longer running my spotties, the hardcore spotties that I had on this. Why? It's a TD, it needs the most airflow it can possibly get. And with this bull bar design, obviously it is a lot more restrictive, especially because the winch is brought up a lot higher, which obviously gives you a lot more approach angle, which is good, but it does affect your airflow. So I've opted to not run the spotties on this, and
the other reason behind that too was the spotties, they sit out forward past the bull bar, which is illegal. Look, you can do it, but I'm just not gonna. I'm probably gonna look at down the track getting a light bar on the roof instead, and I'll keep the spotties for a future project. So guys, this is pretty much a wrap up of this episode and my front end facelift. I think it's turned out bloody killer, and every time I go to a car park now and I walk away from the car, I always turn back and look at it. I think that's a sign that I've done it right. Well, for me anyway. What do you guys reckon? Is this how you would set up your front end on a GQ Patrol, or would you have gone a different route? Let us know in the comments below. And if there's any other details you would like to know about any of this process, chuck it in the comments and I'll do my best to answer any questions. Anyway, thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.